This is The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Whether you're a seasoned real estate expert, a first-time home buyer, or if you're simply passionate about hearing small business stories, this is the podcast for you. Join us as we dive deep into the world of real estate and beyond.
Today's episode is sponsored by Eco Roofing. Eco Roofing is the premier Arizona state roofer that offers free estimates as well as the best roof warranty that will last 25 years. Make sure to check them out and check the description for more info. Well, welcome to episode 51 of The Real Deal. I am your host, Janine Igliane, with my co-host, Ryan Hatcher.
What's up, guys?
And our guest today is Kayla with House of Refuge. I don't normally stumble, but I stumbled. House of Refuge. House of Refuge is near and dear to my heart. So this is a true pleasure to have you. I'm so excited to bring attention to House of Refuge and all the good that they do, and hopefully get you some more donations and sponsors and just more attention to help you guys, because you guys do something that is amazing. And maybe I'll share my reason why it's so important to me, but thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I love to talk about House of Refuge, and we see miracles every day, and I love to share those stories.
I love that. Well, let's get into how did you come into House of Refuge? Kind of tell us maybe a little bit about yourself, your background, and what led you to House of Refuge.
Sure. I've been in nonprofit executive leadership for over 30 years in very different nonprofits. I was with the National Federation of Independent Business as a sales manager over 4 states, and that was when I first realized I loved working for a cause. I did well in sales, but that wasn't really my thing. So I ended up at the Desert Botanical Garden, and I was there for 11 years. So an outdoor science museum. Knew nothing about plants then or now. So they didn't let me out much, but as the deputy director. So I got a great deal of experience with nonprofits there. Then I was the executive director for the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure, the Breast Cancer Foundation. Yes. They used to have an affiliate in Phoenix. It's no longer there, but I was there for a while. And then I found HD South, the home of the Gilbert Historical Museum. So a local history museum. We morphed into an arts and culture center. Knew nothing about the history of Gilbert. Ended up writing a book on the history of Gilbert.
Wow.
So I knew how to run a nonprofit, and then I learned whatever the subject matter or the industry is for that nonprofit. And I thought I would actually retire there. And when the former director at House of Refuge retired after 20 years, some people in the community reached out to me and said, you might want to take a look. And my heart skipped a beat. And I knew of House of Refuge. I knew what they did. And I never in a million years thought that I would have that opportunity. So I threw my hat in the ring with nothing to lose, and here I am today, and I've been there for 3.5 years, and I'm so blessed to be there.
Can you maybe tell us, for those that are listening, that what is House of Refuge? Tell us what House of Refuge is.
House of Refuge provides transitional housing and wraparound social services to families that are experiencing homelessness. We have 88 homes on the old Williams Air Force Base campus by ASU Polytechnic campus, the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. We're kind of tucked in back there in the old military housing. But when a family comes to us, first we only serve families, so they have to have custody of a minor child to be in our program. So when you think of the homeless, sometimes you think of the singles that live on the street. That's not typically who we serve because they are families. So our families, I sometimes call them the hidden homeless. They are usually either living in their car, they might be in a motel, they might be in another shelter. More often they're couch surfing and moving, between friends and family, and they've kind of worn out their welcome, and they find their way to us. So when a family comes to us, the first thing we do is we give them a house. They stay with us for about a year, and then we give them beds, kitchen tables, furniture that the community donates, household belongings, food, clothing, whatever they need. We also give them a case manager. They're required to meet with that case manager once a month. We have an employment and education specialist. They're required to meet with that person once a month. They take budgeting classes. They set their goals. Every family is unique about what brought them to us. But our whole goal is to help them figure out what caused them to be unhoused so that after they leave us, they can be self-sufficient and get out of that system.
Yeah.
What are some of the reasons that bring them to you?
A lot of them are financial. 85% of our families are single moms. About a third of those come out of domestic violence situations. So sometimes they're fleeing domestic violence actively, or whether they've had that in their past. people nowadays, whether they're homeless or not, there are a lot of mental health issues, substance abuse issues, but most of the families that we serve are almost in shock at how did I end up here? Just because of divorce, domestic violence, change in family situation. If they're already single, maybe their hours have gotten cut at work. Maybe if you know who Dave Ramsey is, he says that 60 to 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and all it takes is for your hours to get cut, your car to break down, you get an unexpected medical bill, and now your housing's in jeopardy. We had a mom recently say she had no savings, and her car broke down. And she had enough money, and she had to decide, do I pay my rent or do I fix my car? But my car is how I get to work. So I'm going to fix the car, and then they lost their apartment. So now they're living in their car. And it's horrible that people have to make those kinds of decisions, but it happens far too often.
It does. And that's one of the things I love about what you do is you don't just give them a place to live, but you really help them learn, you help them budget, you help them save. And there are requirements that they have to do so that they have those tools so when they leave you, they can hopefully avoid some of those situations.
Exactly.
I think that's something that's unique and really sets you apart. Right now, is there any availability? Do you have a wait list? What does that process look like for getting into House of Refuge?
We are not emergency shelter, so someone cannot call today and be in a house tomorrow. We're transitional housing, so they have to apply. And good news, bad news, we're always full and we always have a waiting list. But we turn the waiting list on and off because, quite frankly, when someone calls us, they need housing yesterday. And we're not going to keep them on a waiting list, for 3 months, even 2 months or a month. We know how many families are going to be graduating and finishing the program each month, and so we know how many homes are going to become available. So we just kind of keep that pipeline going, and the pipeline never runs dry.
How long is someone able to stay there?
Maximum of 1 year.
Okay.
One unique thing about House of Refuge is that we receive no federal funding. Prior to 2016, House of Refuge was funded almost exclusively by HUD, and at that time it was a 2-year program.
Yes.
When that funding was lost, it was an absolute crisis. In hindsight, I'm glad that it happened, but I'm glad I wasn't there when it happened, because it was truly a nightmare. But the community sees that this program works, so we are 100% funded by the community. So we couldn't do what we do without the support of people like you.
So I was going to ask, what happens? What do the families do when they're graduated out of the program? What do they do?
We have housing workshops, and our program is split into 3 phases. The first phase is the first couple of months. They meet with their case manager, set their goals, figure out what brought them to us, and then they know what they're going to work on. The bulk of the time they're there, they are working on all of those things. We start talking about housing and where they're going almost from the minute they get there, because that year flies.
Yes.
We do housing workshops all the time, and sometimes the families themselves are their best resource, because they're the ones that they go to the housing workshops and they're talking to each other. They're out there in the community looking for either apartments to rent or homes to rent, homes to buy. We've had a couple of success stories where people are able to buy their own home when they leave us. Sometimes a couple of moms will go together and rent a house. They'll get creative. We even had one family one time, they had an 11-year-old son, and they decided to buy an RV. So they were going to live in their RV, whether they were traveling or whether they just parked it in an RV lot, because that would be cheaper to pay for that space than to rent an apartment. So we don't define success, for our families. We let them decide what works best for them, and we help them get there.
I love that. What are some opportunities for someone that's listening that says, hey, this sounds like a cause that I would like to support? What are some ways that someone listening can support House of Refuge?
We need time, talent, and treasure. So if someone wants to volunteer, we're like every other nonprofit. We could not do what we do without volunteers. So we encourage that. We have volunteers in all areas of our operation. So that's one way. We tell people to clean out their closet, clean out their garage, bring us their stuff. We have a very robust donation center, whether it's the food drive that you do for us every year at Power Ranch, which that keeps our food bank going, 4 or 5 months at least. So we're so grateful for that. But donations like that of stuff, we need all the time. We're a tax credit organization. So if people aren't aware of what the tax credit in Arizona, it's a very easy thing to do, and you get a dollar for dollar tax credit on your state taxes. We have people that adopt homes. And for $15,000 a year, that covers all the maintenance and all the wraparound support services that supports that family for a year. Like many other nonprofits, we have our signature fundraising gala every year as well, and that's coming up on March 29th of next year. And it's going to be a great event this year. It's always a great event.
It is always, it's one of our favorites.
But whatever, everybody's different, and whatever they can give, we are so grateful for.
I know I've also seen a lot of people that we work with that have come in and they actually do tangible things. So helping put a roof on, helping with AC units, things like that. So if you have a business, right, that might be an opportunity for you to give back and do good, which is so helpful, I'm sure.
We were actually, we applied for a grant from Del Webb, and we increased a little bit of what we asked for this year. And we asked for 8 air conditioning units, and I have to do an interview with them, and so I did that, and they came back and they said, well, you really need 20. So rewrite your letter of intent and tell us that you want 20 instead of 8. Well, in the meantime, we were also getting bids for roofs because we thought maybe we would ask them for roofs, and Del Webb ended up giving us a grant for 20 air conditioning units, $160,000, and we were getting the bids for the 3 roofs, and Eco Roofing, they're based out of Eastmark, I think, and they came and gave us the bid and then said, we're just going to do it. And so they went together with some of their other vendors, and they put on not just the 3 new roofs, but they looked at the rest of the houses and did some patch and repairs. Yeah. Those kinds of things are miracles that happen every day.
I love that.
And again, we couldn't do it without things like that.
And I think that is such an encouragement to those that are there to see others doing good. And I always say this, that when you do good, yes, it's blessing that person, that organization, whatever, but you're getting blessed too.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you just take for granted. That's why I think with our food drive, why it is so successful is our residents are able to donate. It's super easy for them, but it gives them an opportunity to feel like they're participating in something bigger, and we just make it super easy for them, and it's so fun.
And I think it's this year will be our 11th, right? Yeah, our 11th year doing this. So we're looking forward to it. So be ready in November.
Yes. And anybody that wants to help. In fact, I was talking to she's the new owner for the Real Producers magazine, and telling her about our food drive. They're going to have me on that magazine in end of the year. And she said, Janine, I want to help. I want to get involved. And I was like, let's do it. So awesome. People want those opportunities. And there's other ways too, right? You have a center for the kids where I've seen people come in and volunteer and do crafts and things like that. I mean, there's just so much.
Yes, we have a community center for the 5 to 11-year-olds that are in school. And a year ago, this summer, we opened our first ever teen center.
I love it.
We felt like the teens got lost in the shuffle during the pandemic, and we wanted them to have their own space. Mm-hmm. And oh my goodness, it is a very vibrant space. We have a youth engagement coordinator. He's a former youth pastor that has a real heart for those kids. And they follow the 8 dimensions of wellness. So every month it's a different type of programming, whether it's financial, physical, spiritual, emotional, nutritional. I mean, there's all kinds of whatever the 8 dimensions are. But they also learn practical life skills that they don't teach in school anymore. They learn how to budget. They learn how to interview for a job, fill out a job application, write a resume, basic cooking skills, how to change a tire. I could go on, but it's something that these kids need, and it gives them hope.
Yes.
They don't have to stay stuck in this cycle.
Yes, I love that. What would you say, Kayla, is your biggest need right now?
Our biggest need is always, well, it's everything. It's time, talent, and treasure, as I said before. We have a greatest needs list of items that we post on our website, and it's through myregistry.com. Mm-hmm. And so people can see at any given time what it is that we need. For some reason, it always seems to be cleaning supplies. Those are always on the list. But sometimes it's peanut butter. Sometimes it's other kinds of toiletries. We've got moms across America are sending us 80 sheet sets for the beds. So, it changes, but I mean, we always need food, which is why we're so grateful for the food drive.
Yes.
That's always something that's at the top of the list. Toilet paper has never gone out of style
Yeah.
as a need since the pandemic.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's good.
why,
Yeah.
but
Interesting. I wanted to bring this up because when your families come to you, they often come with nothing but what they can have in their car, whatever. But when they leave, they get to take those things. Is that right?
Absolutely. When a family moves in, if they don't have anything, we make sure that every person has a bed. Mm-hmm. We get some of our children's beds donated from Ashley Furniture. The rest we purchase with grant funding, and we make sure everyone has a kitchen table. Those are givens. The rest of the furniture comes from donations from the community. We also give families what we call a welcome basket, and in that welcome basket, they have new dishes, new pots and pans, linens, a broom, a mop. It's kind of a starter kit, if you will. Then we have in our donation center what we call our shop closets, and they shop. It doesn't cost them anything, but they come in, and again, it's from things that people donate to us.
Like TVs?
Every day. We are very kind of selective about TVs because so many times people want to donate old TVs and they're missing cords, or they're the big box kind even, and you can't just dispose of those if we can't use them. So there's a lot of hazards to that. So maybe is the answer to that question. So call first.
Yeah.
And we don't take oversized furniture because the homes are 1,000 square feet, and we just don't have room for big sectionals and things like that. But to your point, everything that they get while they're there, and there's no limits on what they can take from the donation center. So they get to decorate their home, however they see fit. But everything they get, they take with them when they leave, so they don't have to start all over again.
Nice.
I love that. So I'll share my connection to House of Refuge. And I never shared this publicly until just recently. But prior to when we first moved here and prior to me getting into real estate, my mom had moved out here. And long story short, just really struggled with mental health, ended up getting diagnosed with bipolar, and got evicted from where she was living and couldn't make it on her own, and we connected her with House of Refuge. And this was back when she could be solo. She stayed there for 2 years. And if you ask my kids, it is their favorite time with their grandma because she was stable. She was proud of herself because she was doing it. She had a place that they could come to and be with her. And right after she moved out and her time ended, she was like really doing well, like on her own, paying her rent, just doing all of those things with the skills that she had learned. And she ended up having a stroke. And she's still with us, but it just totally changed her life. My point in that is I am so, so thankful for the time that she had there because I feel like my kids got their grandma. Yeah. So House of Refuge is amazing. And it gave my mom her dignity because she was able to stand on her own 2 feet and just be proud of herself, hold down a job and all of that. So I will forever be thankful for House of Refuge. And that is why for us, it's like when we want to give back, what can we do? It's like a no-brainer. Yeah. So. And
that's exactly one of the miracles that we see all the time. Yeah. And I could sit here and tell stories all day long. Just this week, we had a mom move in. She has a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, and she was crying when she was at her move-in doing all the paperwork. And she said, I just don't know how I got here. I don't know how we ended up homeless, and I'm going to work really hard so I can get a house. And her daughters went over to give her a hug, and they're like, Mom, we're not homeless anymore. Yeah. And it's the little things like that. It's the big things like, the impact it had on your own mom. And again, it's from the little to the big. It really is. And it's an amazing place. What you do and everybody who works at House of Refuge is it's not, I'm sure you feel this way, not just a job, you're really changing people's lives and giving them tools so that they can go out and be better. So for me, I will forever support House of Refuge, and I'm just so thankful for what you guys do. Well, thank you for all that you do. I mean, I'm known for crying every day. So, and it's a good cry. It's a good cry, but it does. It changes lives. So we appreciate you spreading the word about us. I'd love to give tours. If there's anybody listening to this or watching this that would like a personal behind-the-scenes tour, please contact me. You should. What's the best way for them to do that? They can go to, my email is Kayla@houseofrefuge.org. That's easy, or our phone number is 480-988-9242. Okay.
You guys, so you talked about, I just want to touch on some upcoming events. So the gala is your biggest one of the year. It's also super fun. So there's opportunities for donations for silent auction items, for sponsorship. So there's great ways that way to get involved. And that's March 21st? 29th. There's also another event that I just signed up for, the handbag.
Yes, Handbags for Hope. That's coming up in September 13th, I think.
Is that right? Yeah.
Oh gosh, I should know that. That is a very fun event, mostly for the ladies, and it's designer handbags, some that are brand new, some that are gently used, but you would never know they were gently used. And it is like a white elephant type event, but so much fun, and you can steal other people's purses and take it from them, not really steal, but
yes.
It's so much fun. So yes, that's coming up in September. And then if people want to just engage in other ways, we have opportunities around the holidays. We have our big Christmas in the Neighborhood event. And that's when all the families come out and Santa makes an appearance and all of that. So people can adopt families at Christmas.
How fun.
So there's always something going on.
Always something, yes. Well, I will be at the handbag event with some.
Awesome.
Monday's going to be there. A friend of mine's going to be there. So It should be fun because who doesn't love a good time for a good cause?
Absolutely.
Kayla, is there anything that we didn't ask you that we should have asked you?
You were pretty comprehensive, and again, I could tell stories all day, but if I had to leave you with one story, I will tell you probably the greatest success story that has happened since I've been there. A mom named Jessica came. She had has two boys, and she had been living in an apartment, working. Everything was going just fine, and then the owner of the apartment complex sold the entire thing, so everybody had to leave. She was looking around for a house. She wanted to move into a house instead of an apartment, and she found a house. And she had enough money in her savings for first and last month's rent and the deposit. So she gave them all her money, and it turned out to be a scam.
Oh.
So she lost everything she had. So they were living in their car. They spent a couple nights in a motel. They eventually found their way to House of Refuge. While she was with us, she was so determined that this was never going to happen to her again. She worked up to 3 jobs. She saved $7,000. She got her credit score up 145 points.
Wow.
And in September of 2022, she closed on her own home.
Oh, I love that.
She came and talked to some of our residents after she left, and what an inspiration.
Yes.
Just giving people that hope that they could change their situation.
You can do it too.
Absolutely.
I love that.
So.
I love that you do that too with the galas. You often will bring back somebody to tell their story, and that is so powerful. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being with us. We like to end with a little speed round. Are you up for some rapid fire personal questions?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Favorite color?
Blue.
Of course. Favorite food?
Steak.
Ooh. Favorite drink?
It's a tie between coffee and Chateau Ste. Michelle Riesling.
Oh, I love a Riesling. Do you have a favorite book?
Book. I read all the time, and I like to read the book. I don't want to read it on my phone or anything.
Me too.
So I like James Patterson. He's one of my favorite authors.
I love that. Just let me think about anything else, right? Just something.
Good distraction.
Yes. Do you have a favorite podcast?
Yours, of
Oh,
course.
of course. Plug. Last but not least, because you are somewhat of a traveler, do you have a favorite vacation?
I love the beach and the mountains. So either one, anywhere, is good with me. I don't like being in the ocean. I like watching the ocean or being on the ocean, but not in it. So yeah, the beach and the mountains.
I love it. Well, thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing all about House of Refuge. I really hope that this inspires somebody. So if you're listening and you want to get involved and help and give back to an amazing organization, please check out House of Refuge. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Make sure to follow or subscribe to the Home Selling Team on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify to stay up to date with our podcast.